Test 1 2, test 1 2. Okay, go ahead and do Kevin.
Sure what number I am. There you go.
There we go. Perfect. All right, good morning, everyone. It is 9 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for being here today. I know that it's a Saturday morning, and that makes it kind of rough, but we appreciate you being here. I'm Emily Versman with WTRE. Kevin Green is joining us this year with the Greensburg Daily News. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning. Thank you.
We thought we would just combine forces this year so that you guys were all in one place at one time and not have to do several different things. Just a couple baseline things. Number one, no Facebook Living, no cell phones we asked during the program. We do have a YouTube link that is up live on our website. You can share that out all you want, but this will go out from one link so that it's not misconstrued in any way. It is one broadcast. We will go in the order. We're going to start with, I believe, Tim Peck. Are you here today? All right, Tim, we're going to start off with you if you want to head on down. Then we'll go to state reps, we'll go to county council, and then commissioners. So again, thank you all for being here today. We do appreciate it. And we are going to kick it off first here with Tim Peck. He is a Democrat. Tim, you've got before we get started, this is Morgan and Billy Joe. They're going to be your timers today. So if you look up at them, they will give you a signal that you have 30 seconds left. So with any response time, they'll give you that signal so you know it's time to start wrapping it up. So again, good morning. Thank you for being here. And Tim, we'll go ahead and let you start. Is it the bottom?
It's got like it was. It's on. It's
Oh, there you go. You're ready.
There you go.
Thank you. And one more time, if you wouldn't mind explaining the rules here. So
You will.
I missed them.
That's okay.
Yep.
You have just straight 5 minutes because your opponent's not here. So you've got 5 minutes just to talk.
Great. Thank you. So I'm an emergency room physician, an entrepreneur, a doctor, and a business owner. And I am also living on a farm down in Clark County. I'm also a father, a proud new father, and a husband. Above all, I think I'm a problem solver by nature. And folks, we have a pretty big, lot of problems right now in America and here in Indiana 9 that we need to solve. But the thing is, we can't seem to disagree and still make progress in Congress. We used to be able to do that. We used to be able to balance a budget. Back when Gingrich and Clinton were working together, we balanced the budget. Back when Reagan and O'Neill were working together, we celebrated compromise. Back when Johnson and the Republicans were working together, we made Social Security. We made Medicare. We made progress. And so I'm running for Congress because I want to unite Hoosiers of Indiana 9, and that means all Hoosiers, whether you're Republican, you're Democrat, you're Libertarian, you're Independent, to help solve problems. I'm running as for Congress as a fiscally conservative Democrat, sometimes called a blue dog Democrat. I'm not a politician. It's not even really my goal to become one. As a matter of fact, I've been an independent my whole life and just joined the Democratic Party. They had to give me a letter to be able to run as a Democrat, as a blue dog Democrat. And while I've always cared deeply about our government, never felt completely at home in either political party. And while saying something like that may make me sound a little crazy to career politicians like my very far-right opponent, who I believe was invited but is not here, who tends to vote against her own party, who frankly is part of a do-nothing Congress this year and last year. It was one of the least active Congresses in the history of the United States. I know there are a lot of people out here that understand exactly what I mean when you say you're proud to be part of a party, but you're not necessarily a partisan person. I know that because most of you haven't only placed your political party at the center of your life. Instead, like me, you place things at the center of your life that are the big things. Your family, your community, your faith, your job. For me, I'm a father, a husband, a doctor, caregiver, a Christian. And I just want you to all take a moment right now and ask yourself what you place at the center of your life. Just think about that. If you elect me to Congress, those are the things I will work hard to represent. As an emergency room doctor, I've set a lot of broken bones. What I've never said is a Democratic bone. Never said a Republican bone. Never helped an independent car crash victim. Never in my life taken a partisan bullet out of a child. And never in my life have I held a Democratic hand or a Republican hand of an elderly patient as they weren't sure if they were going to make it through the night. As someone on the front line of care, I've also had to treat a lot of women who have been raped, a lot of children as well. And I don't believe in those instances that the government has any right in my exam room when women are making that choice. And I know from talking to so many people in so many communities in our corner of Indiana that most people, including those not in this room, on the farms around me in New Washington, Streets Cordon, Square in Salem, they think exactly like I do. I'm proud to be at this forum, and thank you for inviting me. Because it shows that the tides are turning back to a time when we believed that part of being American was remembering that your neighbors didn't have to agree with you, and frankly, that your neighbors had every right not to agree with you, but they were still your neighbors. I believe in us as Americans, a place where we can disagree, but still get things done. I promise I won't waste your vote. I'll do the work. I'll work across the aisle, and I'll be useful. Thank you.
All right, once again, that is Alex Zimmerman. I apologize, Tim Peck, Democratic for your U.S. representative. Tim, thank you so much for being here this morning, and a round of applause for Tim. All right, and next up we will start Alex Zimmerman. I believe Alex is here, and Alex is running for District 67 for state representative. And Alex, he also has the mic for 5 minutes to tell us about himself.
Hello. There we go. Good morning. I'm Alex Zimmerman. I'm state representative for House District 67. I'm proudly running for re-election to the House, representing parts of Decatur, Jefferson, Jennings, and Ripley counties. Here in Decatur County, I represent the Westport and Millhausen areas, Sand Creek and Marion Townships. I'm running for re-election because there's more to be done in Indianapolis. I'm proud to bring a common sense conservative voice to Indianapolis to fight for our rural conservative values here in Southeast Indiana. And there's a lot of beauty that we have in Southeast Indiana, right? We've got all of our natural resources. We've got, just in House District 67, Clifty Falls State Park, we have Muscatatuck, we've got Versailles State Park. We have all of this natural beauty that we need to take advantage of for economic development dollars, to bring in folks from outside of this area to see what I saw when my wife and I moved back to Jennings County 4 years ago to raise our child. In Indianapolis, this is what I want to accomplish in the next 2 years. Making local government work better for you. I know this might be hard to believe, but there's a lot of red tape in government, and especially so in our state government, on our local governments. And our local governments work, they're the closest to you. in me and when we're here at home. I was proud to work this year with Representative Jenny Meltzer, who's here today, on some legislation to cut that government red tape on our local governments. We want to make local government work more efficiently for you, because government needs to work for you, not against you. The second thing I'm really passionate about is our law enforcement and our first responders. We need to give them the tools that they need to do their jobs effectively and efficiently. And again, part of that's cutting government red tape. Part of that is giving them the tools that they need to do their job. In one part of my district, something that I'm really interested in working on next year, down in the Jefferson, Jennings, Scott County part of my district, where it's very hilly. Our first responders go out on a call, and they might not be able to call back to dispatch to tell them, send an ambulance, send backup. They might be in a basement somewhere getting shot at, and nobody knows to come help. That's a problem. So something that I'm passionate about that I'm going to work on next year if I'm reelected is a program to incentivize development of radio towers. And you might think, well, why is that necessary? We need help. These towers cost north of 6 figures. Our local governments can't afford that on their own. But our state can help with that. The other thing, next year's a budget year, and it will be a tight budget year, but we need to get to the bottom of why the state had a $1 billion Medicaid shortfall this past year. We need to get to the bottom of that, and part of that is, again, cutting government red tape. We need to protect our seniors, provide them the care that they need, and those that are disabled and unable to provide for themselves. But we need to do so in a fiscally responsible way, and I'm very passionate about doing that. And I skipped the most important part of my speech, telling you a little bit about me. I'm an attorney in North Vernon. Again, don't hold that against me, please. But married my wife, Kayla. We moved back to Jennings County 4 years ago, and we're proudly raising our 3-year-old son, Liam, who's in that stage of life where all he wants to tell me is, go away, Dad. And but it's the best years of my life right now. And I couldn't be more proud to serve you in the Indiana State House, and I hope to go back. So thank you very much.
All right, once again, thank you, Alex, for being here this morning. We're going to move on to District 73, and that will be Ed Comstock, Jennifer Meltzer, and Holly Payton. Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for being here. We are just going to go in alphabetical order today, make it the easiest for everyone, and then we'll rotate after each person or after each question. So first, we're going to start off with Ed. We'll open with 2 minutes to just talk about yourself and introduce who you are to the crowd.
All right. Can you hear me all right? All right. Welcome. I'm Edward Comstock. I'm a graduate of Waldron High School, Blue River Vocational School. Spent 21 years in the United States Air Force. Currently a production worker at Honda. First of all, let me tell you, any statements that I make, if I'm on the campaign trail about Honda, I'm speaking as a candidate, not as an employee. A lot of great things are happening up there. A lot of great things are happening in Shelby County. One of the big things is I'm really part of Decatur County. I'm in here. Even had a gift from a small child last Sunday at the First United Methodist Church. He gave me a little Jesus there as I was visiting that church. But I believe that we can cut our taxes better in the state of Indiana. Like Mr. Zimmerman said, we had a $1 million Medicaid shortfall. I believe part of that is Indiana's excessive gasoline tax. But what I'm really into is visiting with people, learning, listening to what your issues are. Just like the bridge that's over by the stone quarry in St. Paul, I believe it's in Shelby County. I got to check on the map. Someone reminded me that bridge has been closed for 7 years. So what I want to do is I want to find out what the real issues are and try to help out where I can. Once again, I'm Edward Comstock, and I'm running out of time, but I'm here for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Jennifer Meltzer.
Good morning, Greensburg. Thank you for having me here this morning. I am Jennifer Meltzer, and I am your current elected House Representative for District 73. So happy to be back. We did this 2 years ago, so I'm going to repeat myself a little bit for those of you who do not know who I am. I am an attorney by profession. I am currently the city attorney for the city of Shelbyville. Prior to that, I was in the Deputy Attorney General's office, the State Department of Health, and in private practice. So I've been practicing law for almost 15 years. I am happily married to my husband, Trent, and we have 3 daughters. They are June, Rose, and Pearl. And yes, they are 2 years older, so they are now 12, 10, and 7. We have enjoyed the last 2 years of being at the house, but as I told many people yesterday when I was at an event, they asked how session went, and I said, I am very happy to be back in District 73. Indianapolis can be exhausting. I have found that it is a constant fight in Indianapolis to remind everyone that we are not only representing Marion County and Indianapolis, that we are representing 100 different districts across the state, and that we should not be focused on only what happens in Indianapolis. Yes, their crime trickles down here, so we need to be focused on making sure that they are functioning well, but we also need to make sure that we are supporting our local officials here. So a little bit about me. I have enjoyed it. I passed 6 bills. I filed 7, so I failed to get the 7th one across the finish line, but proud to say that I did get 6 across. So looking forward to our discussion today.
All right, and next up is Holly Payton.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Holly Payton. I am originally from Osgood, yes, the small town that has 1 stoplight that maybe not a lot of people have heard of. I graduated Jacksonville High School in 1999. My husband and I have lived in Greensburg now for 8 years. We have a 13-year-old son named Isaiah. He is absolutely amazing. I get the pleasure to homeschool him. He's autistic, and how his brain works is just amazing. So as you can imagine, disability rights is near and dear to my heart. I am just a real regular person. I'm not a seasoned politician. I'm not a lawyer. I believe in being everyone's voice across the district. That means rural towns that don't get talked about a lot, such as Westport or St. Paul. Not just Greensburg or Shelbyville, right? There's smaller communities that don't have a large voice heard at the State House. My big thing is to make sure we have checks and balances in the State House instead of a supermajority. I am not about the divisiveness of one party versus the other. I'm more listen to what the people say, what the constituents say, and be their voice, regardless of what they have behind their name. Thank you very much.
All right, and we will start the next question with Jennifer Meltzer, and Kevin has that question.
First of all, thank you all for being here. My first question for each of you is regarding public education. It seems increasingly over the past several years, we have more and more direction from the state. And my question is specifically, is public education best left to local school boards or state mandates?
Depends. So we've seen a lot of school boards across the state that have struggled to really deal with what their curriculum is going to be. Additionally, the state legislature funds your schools through the general fund, and almost it's getting close to about 48% of your state tax dollars are going to your local schools. And that is addition to your property tax dollars going to your local schools. So if the school board's going to be open, if they're going to broadcast their meetings, if they are going to make sure that they are being transparent and that you are able to come and show up to your school board meetings and you are able to participate. Just think about that. That is a significant amount of your tax dollars that are going to schools every single day. So if that is happening, then yes, the state should leave it alone. But if that's not happening, then I think the state needs to get involved.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Holly?
I actually tend to agree with what Jennifer said. It depends on the situation. However, I'm more of the thinking that school boards know what's happening locally. They have mentioned it before that what happens in Indianapolis, is different than what happens here in Greensburg, right? We're totally different. And so the standardized testing and those kinds of things that seem to be upheld and really talked about in the legislature doesn't need to be, we don't need more of that. So I think the school boards are elected by local constituents for a reason, because the people believe that they have knowledge of what the community needs.
All right, thank you, Holly. And Ed?
All right, I'm going to make this brief as possible until they wave their hands at me. Basically, the state of Indiana, we had consolidations, and back in the 50s. That was a really bad thing as we look at it now. Maybe back in the 50s and 60s it worked, before Bartholomew County and James County got as big populated as they could. Here in Decatur County, we have Greensburg community that has an appointed school board from the mayor, then we have elected Decatur County schools. And I believe in making our schools even more accessible to people. I went to Waldron High School, which is part of Shelby Eastern Schools. To be honest with you, Shelby Eastern Schools and Decatur County schools probably need to be split up into separate school corporations. We shouldn't do that at the State House. That should be done by local people. I have a lot of people that moved from Ohio, and they don't understand to Greensburg to work at Honda, and they don't understand why in Greensburg they can't vote for their school board. Well, that's a local issue. That'll probably be settled one of these days by a public referendum. I don't have a which way or not. As far as the state of Indiana needs to do, we need to stay things out. In Shelby County, we have a wonderful cooperative called Blue River Vocational School, which I'm a graduate of. It works great, very similar to C9. Not like C4, it's part of the Columbus North and East high schools. But to answer your question, I'm gonna get off here, is the parents have the right, they're gonna decide their children's education, and the money's gonna follow the child, and nothing that either one of us, all three of us, are gonna do, because we're only one of 100 people out there in the State House. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ed. Next question, we'll start with Holly. Mental health has become a crisis, not only in Indiana, but across the nation. What do you think Indiana can do to offer greater services and availability to help those in need?
That is actually a great question. One thing that I failed to mention at the beginning is I work for Girls Inc. in Shelbyville, Shelby County. I started a program last year called TAC, Teen Advocacy Council. Their focus last year was to focus on mental health resources in a school setting. So they had conversations with their principals. Yes, by law, they have the 800 number on the posters, but it's never talked about. I think taking the stigma away from mental health problems are key. Just having more access. In the state of Indiana is a mental health desert. We don't have enough therapists to help the people. And understanding that mental health does not just stem from fentanyl use or drug use. Mental health affects a lot of people and not only drug use. So having that message out there is key, because there's a lot of misinformation and misconception about that.
Okay, thank you. Ed?
Well, as a veteran, and last stat I heard, 22 a day of my brothers and sisters commit suicide. So to say we're a desert might be an understatement, but she is correct that we do have a mental health desert, and it's through all sections of our society. I really believe that community schools and having more input in our school boards and our community groups and our churches. I'm very big in our churches. And our churches can really solve more than anything government can do. And I really believe that the people, when they make decisions in their local communities, that's where a lot of the answers really come from. Big government didn't really work in consolidation when they consolidated all these township schools several years, about 10 to 15 years before I was born. I was born December 17, 1969. So that kind of gives you an idea where I stand. The lower down we can send things to our community, the best. Maybe our township trustees should have a more impact on mental health. I don't know. That's a good idea. Your township trustees really know what's going on in your township. And I'm a big supporter of township trustees. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Jennifer?
So last year, I proudly supported the creation and the funding of 988, which is a phone number that can be called by anyone who is experiencing crisis or has a family member or a loved one that is. The goal of 988 is to eventually have it so that an actual provider will then show up or be on the phone with that person, not just for suicide, but for anxiety, depression, addiction. So I was proud to support that last year. This year, I co-authored a bill with Wendy McNamara to clean up how we do competency evaluations in our courts. We unfortunately have individuals that are sitting in our jails waiting for a competency evaluation, so whether or not they are competent to actually stand trial for months. We made it so that nurse practitioners who are certified with a mental health certification through the DMHA will be able to actually now do those competency evaluations, meaning that individuals that are in crisis and sitting in our jails will hopefully be able to get that evaluation done faster. And then if they are found to be incompetent, we'll be able to get to a state hospital to have the proper care given to them. I authored House Bill 1205 this year. It also deals with CMHCs, which are community mental health centers. About $70 million of your taxpayer dollars are going to CMHCs across the state. They are supposed to report to your county council and your commissioners and tell them what care they are given. Some of them are, some of them are not. 1205 requires them to do that reporting, and it also requires additional reporting on exactly who they're treating and what type of mental health issue they have, whether or not it's addiction, if it's a substance abuse issue, or if it's anxiety, depression. So this is near and dear to my heart. It's something that I've been working on for the last 2 years and look forward to working on further.
All right, next question. We'll start with Ed.
Indiana has a distinction, according to recent reports, of having the lowest voter turnout numbers in the nation. I'm curious about your thoughts as to why and what might possibly be done to address that.
Well, I can tell you one thing. The candidates of the 73rd State House District are doing our part today because you voters have a choice in the 73rd State House District. I think a lot of it is just education of how our government works. We need to really put civics back into our schools and explain, that it's just not government money, it's your money. And once we do that, one of the big things that I constantly talk to people about, I have a lot of coworkers who go back and visit family in Ohio and Kentucky. They work with me at Honda, and they always buy gasoline 30 or 40 cents cheaper in Ohio and Kentucky. It's a state gas tax. It went up last July. I haven't looked to see if it's going to go up again this July. But we spend all this money on gas tax, and it's raising our cost on everything. So, when we keep taxing our people like we claim to be a red state if you go by the national media, but we tax our people like a blue state, then people lose interest. And what I try to tell people is, these decisions that you make on election day, whether it be May 7th, the primary between Mrs. Meltzer and I, or the winner of us in November against, I believe her name's Molly, those decisions have consequences, and they also have good things that can happen if that's what you want to happen. I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you.
All right, Holly, I apologize. I got out of order. I think you should have started that question, so my apologies.
That was a great question. I personally think the divisiveness throughout the whole country, I don't know about anybody else, but the people that I have been able to talk to, they are tired of hearing Republican versus Democrat. And it's overwhelming. And like I said, I'm running on the Democrat ticket. I'm not pushing politics. I am pushing what's best for the people. I think we need to get the message out, vote for the best person for that position and not the party. Straight ticket voting is how most people, especially in this district, District 73, vote. Straight party voting is not the answer. You end up with the same result. And from what I've heard from everyone who spoke so far, nobody's happy, right? So really look into the representatives that's running for that position, for that office, and really do your research. And Ed had mentioned education. That's part of educating the public, is letting them know what policies you stand for and that you want to be their voice. That's my message, and that's where I believe that falls, is people don't want to get out and vote because they don't have confidence in anyone, because it's just so divisive. I want to cut that divisiveness out and just stand for the people, regardless of who you vote for or how you vote. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Jennifer?
I don't know why people don't vote. I think that education helps, knowing when you go into the ballot box that you feel confident about who you're voting for and who they are. This forum is a great way to get this information out. I think it's wonderful that we're not only just sitting here with those of us in the room, but we're also on the radio. I think that makes it much easier for all of voters to be able to simply turn on the radio on a Saturday morning and listen to who the candidates are. I believe in transparency. I have been knocking on doors, and unfortunately, I hear a lot of frustration. There is frustration with the economy. There is frustration with the federal government. There's frustration with the lack of progress in Congress. I have to constantly remind people that the State House versus Congress are two completely different things. At the State House, we are productive. We are getting things done. Some of those things I've had a chance to talk about this morning. And if I'm reelected, I look forward to continue to get things done at the State House. The State House also is bipartisan for 95% of the things that go across. You will see most of the votes are 97-0, 98-0. And so I think that hopefully the voters can hear that you can go and vote for state representative. You can go and vote for your state senators. You can vote for your local officials, and things are getting done here.
All right, thank you. Holly, we'll start with you next. When you stop and look at District 73, what do you feel like are the biggest issues that your district is facing, and how do you look to approach and tackle those?
That's a great question. So what I've noticed and what I've heard from a lot of people in District 73 so far is the housing inequality, right? If there's a young person and they're looking for a house of their own, there is nothing on the market. There's no affordable apartments, no affordable houses for rent. So working to get the housing inequality under control, and helping with that, that's the thing I've noticed the most out of the constituents that I've spoken to so far from District 73. And also it's been brought to my attention, the shortfall with the FSSA, that's been brought to my attention as well, which like I said is near and dear to my heart with disability rights. So those are the two things that I have noticed from constituents that I will work for if I get elected to District 73. Thank you.
Jennifer?
So 2 years ago when I was knocking on doors, the number one thing that I heard was mental health and addiction. Every single door that I stopped and talked to, they either had personally experienced it, had a loved one that was dealing with it, they had experienced it through their career, they'd seen it at work. And so for the past 2 years, that's where my focus has been. I also realized as I was talking to people that sometimes how you get access to that care and to remove the stigma was really important. And so as another part of 1205 is community recovery organizations, which are CROs. They are currently not in any way certified or regulated by the state, so anyone can claim that they are a CRO. The issue with this is, one, there's no transparency with that. You don't know if they're actually providing those services. But two, if you don't have that regulation, then federal dollars are being lost. So 1205 sets up a regulatory process for those CROs to get certified and to actually make sure that they're all providing that care. And the importance of CROs is that they are an avenue for someone to walk in and see someone who has recovered from addiction. And then it sets up avenues for them to choose their own path. So there's multiple different ways to get to recovery, and not one solution fits for all. And so that's the issue that I had heard about 2 years ago, and one that I've been working on.
All right, Ed?
All right. Well, I'm just going to go off basically what their two answers were and basically kind of give you my point of view. What she talked about was the housing crisis that we're experiencing, because I deal with people every day. Half of Honda lives over an hour away, and and many of those people desperately want to move in the surrounding area. And believe it or not, they live in places like Anderson, and where our schools are a lot better than what they're coming from. So if the gas and diesel tax are in everything, and that is fueling anything that's going up. Even the cost of your local school districts and getting your kids to school, because basically the gas diesel tax, if it's on the road, you're supposed to pay that tax. Farmer's diesel, you're not supposed to, but you're tilling the earth. Well, that even affects your local school corporations unless they own the buses. Shelby Eastern doesn't own their school buses. Southwestern Consolidated, Decatur County, James County owns half of their buses, I'm told. Bartholomew County, I'm not sure, but I know Flat Rock Hall Creek, which is Hauser. And so anything that's going up, you can really take it back to the fuel taxes. They're excess in the state of Indiana, in my opinion. There's a lot of debate on that, and I'm sure Mr. Zimmer and Mrs. Meltzer probably would debate me fiercely on that. But that's what I believe. And the other thing is, I think mental health can be really done better by the county commissioners and the trustees of each township. Thank you very much. Bye.
All right, thanks, Ed. Jennifer, we'll start next with you. And this will be the last question.
It's been widely reported that the state of Indiana, from a fiscal perspective, is in very sound shape. What are your thoughts about reducing or eliminating the property tax?
Yes, the state of Indiana is in very sound shape. Your property taxes don't pay for anything that the state does. Your property taxes pay for your local government. It pays for your fire department. It pays for your police officers and your sheriff. It pays for your recorder's office, your assessor's office, your treasurer's office, your mayor's. It pays for any of those core services. So in Shelbyville, we pick up trash. In Greensburg, you're picking up trash. It will pay for parts of operating your wastewater system. So in my mind, eliminating property taxes, you can reduce them, and we should. In $14.99 in 2023, you were going to see closer to an 8 to 9% increase in your property taxes, and the state reduced that down to 5%. So yes, the state can play with how assessed values are done. We can work on how you actually pay your property taxes. But at the end of the day, we cannot completely erase it, or you would be erasing all of those core services that your local government provides. If private industry wants to come in and start paying for firefighters and paying for police officers, that would be great, but that's not what we see happening. We see the exact opposite. We see a dearth in volunteer firefighters across the state. And so I fully support reducing property taxes. I fully support looking at it more closely and making sure that that equation is proper and that everyone is paying their fair share in. But I don't think we can completely erase it.
All right, thanks, Jennifer. Holly?
So see, I'm not as divisive as what some people might have thought because I'm a Democrat. I actually agree with what Jennifer said. she made some great points. The thing that I would say is I believe we should reduce some property taxes, but we have to be careful on how far we reduce them because, like she said, we won't be able to support those other organizations, right? And those are key for our livelihoods. I also want to bring up, though, abatements. So if you have a large company coming in, like such as Honda, when Honda came in, and nothing against Honda, but they had an abatement where they don't have to pay property taxes, right? And so I know a lot of people talk about corporate greed and things like that. And I'm not saying, again, I'm not talking bad about Honda because they do some fabulous things for our community. They really do. But as far as property taxes, the abatements come into play with that as well. So I think that's one thing that we could watch out for.
All right, thank you, Holly. Ed?
First of all, I agree with that. I would love to do away with property taxes. Can I get it done? One member out of 100, and then there's 50 state senators that can block you with no problem? Probably not. But this is what I want to do. Does anyone remember 1988 when we voted the lottery in? I voted against it personally, just religious, what I believe in. That money was supposed to go to the schools. It went to the general fund, as far as I can tell. What I want to do is I want to limit these bonds that these school corporations that are totally just nailing the taxpayer with. And I haven't really seen a raise of high school diplomas, which is really their business. I love high school sports. I played for a guy named Kendall Wildy at Walden in high school. I was at the end of the bench waving a towel. The only time he ever talked to me was when to sit down or stop talking to the referees. But in James County, they think that's a lot more funnier, by the way. But to make a long story short, if we continue funding education and limit these tax bonds at the school corporation, because your taxes will go down. I want you to go home and look at your tax receipts. If you're a property owner, who taxes you? Heavily. It's not the county commissioners. It's not the trustees. It might be the city if you're a city person in Shelbyville or Greensburg or Columbus. I don't remember how far North Vernon goes up, but that's where your taxes are going. It's going to your school corporation, and we in the state need a better job of funding education. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ed. It's now time for our 3-minute wrap-up, so we're going to start at the end where we started, Holly, we'll start with you, and we'll go backwards this time. So 3 minutes, this is your time to tell us about your campaign and sell yourself. And Holly will not be on the primary ballot, but we wanted her to have a chance to speak along with the others.
Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone coming here and listening to what the three of us had to say. Like she said, I am the only Democrat running for House District 73. I believe in transparency, right? I believe in, and I know that word gets thrown out a lot, and some people may be tired of hearing that, but I believe I'm an open book with my life, and I believe what we do to represent District 73 should be an open book as well. And to make that work, we need the checks and balances. So there's a super majority in the State House right now, and with the super majority, there's no checks and balances. So I hope to bring that into the State House. I just want to be a regular person, a real person who has come from a very small town. I don't have a bunch of accolades, right? I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. I don't come from money. I'm just a real regular person, and I feel that it's time to represent us real regular people in the State House, right? We have different thoughts sometimes when it comes to the laws and how things should be ran, right? What I want to bring the voice of all people, regardless of your religion, non-religion, your whatever. We all come from different walks of life, and I believe that we all should have a voice in that State House. Yes, Indianapolis is a whole different beast than Greensburg or St. Paul or Osgood, right? And I know that's Mr. Zimmerman's area is Osgood, Milan. I'm very familiar with those small towns. Those small towns are even different than Greensburg, and I know that from growing up in Osgood. I just believe in being that voice for people. I believe that I am the right candidate. I'm just a regular person. I'm not a seasoned politician. I don't talk a bunch of nonsense. I just tell it how it is. And I believe for once it's a breath of fresh air that someone who is a regular person can just be in the State House and have your voice and your back. And I am willing. I've met with Republicans right here in Greensburg and had conversations. And I said, I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I want to represent you, not a political party. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in representing the people. So vote for me would be much appreciated. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Holly. Jennifer Meltzer.
Thank you for having me today. It's been a pleasure to answer questions and hopefully educate all of the voters on who I am and what I stand for. I'm a mom. I have 3 children. I have sat and read through every single bill that I voted on. Yes, I actually read all of them. And yes, takes hours and hours to do, but it's the right thing to do. And I am reading them coming through the lens of being an attorney, but I'm also reading them coming through the lens of being a mom and a wife and someone who is active in my community. I am on the Youth Assistance Program Board. I am on my children's PTO. I have volunteered for numerous different things with our Main Street and our foundation. You will see me at the festivals in Greensburg. And yes, you'll also see me at Republican meetings. You will see me at your fair. And I enjoy being active in the community. I enjoy meeting with all the voters and all of my constituents and listening to what their concerns are and then trying to address those concerns at the State House. I think that I have been successful in the last 2 years, and I'm proud of the success that I have had. I was appointed to Vice Chair of Courts and Criminal Code this year, which meant that in addition to sitting on the committee and voting and being able to amend the bills in committee, I actually was able to read every single bill that was assigned to committee, and with Representative McNamara, work with her and choose which ones actually got a hearing. So it was an interesting process to actually be able to read through the bills and say, okay, this one I think is a good idea, or this one I disagree with for these reasons. So if the author's willing to amend it, this is probably one that we can really push forward. Others, we looked at and we said, this is a great idea, but we only were able to have 2 meetings in a short session. So we just didn't have time. So that was an interesting process to learn about. I have enjoyed the last 2 years at the State House. I hope that you'll support me in May, and if I win again in November, to go back up to the State House. I enjoyed working with Representative Zimmerman on the bill that he discussed to remove red tape. I was also proud to author House Bill 1003, which is one of our priority bills that removed a significant amount of red tape when it comes to administrative law. It made it so that it evened the playing field between state agencies and each and every single one of our people that needs to go in front of a state agency. So those are the things that I've been focused on and look forward to hopefully being able to focus on further.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Edward Comstock.
All right. First of all, I want to thank everyone for being here, the radio station and newspaper, and your support of this event, and these ladies for running. Win or lose, this is a great opportunity for people of 73rd State House District to be heard. I have an open door policy no matter if you're in the district or not. It doesn't matter, because if you're having a problem in your district, that means I probably got a problem in my district nobody's cornered me on. So I want you to know I always have an open door policy. If I can help, I always help. I'm not a bill writer. Obviously, Mrs. Meltzer talked about the 7 bills she wrote and the 6. I have a different philosophy. It's not that her philosophy is wrong. It's just there are thousands of bills over the years that just died in committee because it wasn't their time. I'm more interested in finding people that have a great idea, maybe find out what's best for the 4 counties of the 73rd and the rest of it. I also include Rush County because Rush County with Shelby County and Decatur County is very important. And many of you that farm in northern or eastern Shelby County and Decatur County have farmland in Rush County. So it's very important that I don't leave those residents and I communicate with the state rep over there and the state senator. But I will always be there for you. I always have an open door. I have your ear. some things that I don't believe in, that the answer is no, and there's no debate on. I'm pro-life. I believe in supporting people on anything in their life. Pro-life means to me, yes, the unborn. It also means quality education for children. It also giving respect for the elderly. Yes, my mother will be 81 years old the 19th. My father died about 12 years ago, on 2 weeks after his 70th birthday. So I don't have him anymore to do things for anymore. But we want to keep our loved ones. We want to always, when people age, you want to have dignity for them. And there are a lot of things. I want to support the small towns, whether you're incorporated or not. We have a lot of non-incorporated towns in this district. And I will hear you that, not just in the district, but in these counties I just mentioned. Scipio is a non-incorporated town. And there's a lot of things. Well, the ladies have just raised their hands, so I'm going to let you go. I really appreciate you being here, and thank you very much.
All right, thank you. That was District 73, Edward Comstock, Jennifer Meltzer, and Holly Payton. Thank you all three for being here today. We are going to take just a short 5-minute break. If you need to run to the restroom or anything, go ahead and do that. When we come back, we will be talking with our Decatur County Council at large.
Thanks.
All right, if our council at large, Andrew Bruni, Janet Chadwell, Rob Duckworth, Ernie Gauk, Bill Metz, and Rick Nobby. Am I up enough? Okay. All right, thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. We're going to start with the 2-minute opens. Like everybody else, we are just going to go in alphabetical order to make it easier, since there are 6 of you up there. So Andrew Bruni, we're going to start with you. And 2 minutes, once again, the girls are here to give you when your 30 seconds is up. And that mic should be on.
I think it is. There we go. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming out this morning, and a big thank you to WTRE, the Daily News, and Wolf Theaters for hosting this event. My name is Andrew Bruni, and I am a candidate for Decatur County Council at Large in the Republican primary. A little background on myself. I'm a Decatur County native, growing up in Jackson Township, where I still live just outside of Westport. I'm a South Decatur graduate. I went on to get a bachelor's degree from Purdue University and a Master of Public Administration from Indiana Wesleyan University, which is similar to an MBA, but with a focus in nonprofit organizations and government. I have a background in business, marketing, and nonprofits. I am a co-owner of Donut Central, a donut shop and food truck business based out of Columbus, where I have served as the business's food truck fleet operations manager, as well as the marketing director. You may have seen our big teal trucks or icing-coated food trailer in Westport, Greensburg, St. Paul, or Millhausen. One unit's actually in Westport today if it's not too late, so you can go get a donut. I have also had a career in marketing for both the public and private sectors, and am currently doing marketing in the healthcare industry. I am running for Decatur County Council because I think that we have a problem with taxes in this county. The county council exists to set tax rates and the budget, and I am running for office because I think we can do better to serve the taxpayers. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Janet Chadwell. I am currently your county auditor. My husband and I have raised our kids in Decatur County. We have a daughter and a son. We are taxpayers, as you talk about taxes. I think I could bring a lot of experience to the county council, being your county auditor for almost 4 terms. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Rob Duckworth, candidate at large for Decatur County Council. And before I get started, I want to wish my daughters, Kylie and Kenzie, good luck this morning at the archery tournament going on at North Decatur. Not able to be there with them today because we're here with you, but I want to let them know that they're still in my thoughts this morning. So fortunate to be a part of this community. This was not my home community, but it is our home. And a few years ago when I went to serve in state government, we had an option to leave this community, and we didn't, because this is our home. This is where our girls are. And this is what home is to them, and that's part of why I want to be a part of the council to help make that better. When you look at the community at large today, it's definitely different than it was years ago. You can see that every time you drive by what is no longer the Ford dealership as we knew it, because now it belongs to someone else. And the cost for a new pickup truck there is a whole lot different than what it used to be for everything else. And that's why we have to start planning for not only today, but next year and the year after that, when we're planning for today and looking at all those things moving forward. So it's been my fortunate opportunity to be able to be here, to be part of this community for almost the last 15 years, having been a lifelong public servant in my adult career, serving as an EMT and a paramedic and a deputy sheriff, and now working in the private sector, which is a different perspective for me, but it's educational. So I look forward to bringing the experiences of working not only at the local government, but at the state government and at the federal level if we need to have those things. And my closing piece is, if you know me, you know that my process has always been working better together. When we work together, we've always been able to do more and to work to find those resources and grants other places than just at the county cash register. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ernie Gauk. I want to thank WTRE and the Daily News for sponsoring this today. I think you better all go buy a lottery ticket because I think we set down in alphabetical order here. So I don't know what the odds of that would be. But anyway, I'm a Decatur County native also. I've lived in Decatur County all my life, which has been longer than I want to say sometimes. It was about 7 decades. The only time I was not here is when I attended Purdue University to receive a degree in economics. I'm married to my wife, Mary Lou. We have 2 children, Joseph and Angela, who are working in Decatur County and raising their children here. So I've been on this council for several years. Been through a lot of council members. There's been a lot of good people come through the council with a lot of good ideas, and I'm always here willing to listen to who wants to talk and who has good ideas, even other council people and commissioners. Try and do our best to be efficient with the taxpayers' dollars and get things done that people of the county want to see done. So other than that, I appreciate your vote coming up, and we'll go from there.
Hi, I'm Bill Metz. I'm currently finishing up my 2nd term on county council. I'm a lifelong resident of Decatur County, a farmer my whole life. Married to my wife, Joan. I've got 3 children, PJ, Claire, and Garrett. Currently serve on the SIT board and JRAC through the county council.
Good morning. My name's Rick Nobby. As Ernie said, thanks WTRE and Greensburg Daily News for putting this together. And thank all of you that are here and listening to this broadcast. Again, my name's Rick Nobby. I've been married to my wife, Kay, for going on 20 or 40 plus years. 50 years, pretty close, but no, it seems like 50 for her probably. But I have 2 children. We have 2 children, Kyle and Stacy. Stacy lives in the community with her husband, Ben, and our grandchildren, and she's the assistant principal at St. Mary's. I work at Land O'Lakes, which is part of the agronomy company, Winfield United. I'm a salesperson and take care of the equipment needs for retailers across the U.S. I've been with the cooperative system for going on about 49 years now, and enjoyed agriculture quite a bit. My history from a political sense has been, was blessed to be commissioner for 12 years. So I've worked with just about everybody that's sitting at this table, and many of you out in the audience today. I want to be involved in the community. Decatur County is a passion of mine. I tell people that I have roots here like a Canadian thistle. So if you're in the ag business, you know what that means, that you just can't get rid of them, or hardly. So, but I want to be part of this. We have to understand that we need to maintain growth in the community to get people to come in. Ms. Meltzer talked about housing, I think. That's important. Broadband is important. Child care is important, things that we need to look at going forward. So I appreciate your vote in May for that opportunity.
All right, thank you guys all again for being here. We're going to start with our first question, and Janet, you'll be the first one to answer this. I think both microphones are working now. Just if you want to check them. Yep. So they're both. You can all share. So Janet, Kevin will start with this question.
All right, let's get right down to it. No secret, the community pool has been closed. Your thoughts about reopening it, rebuilding it, and how we're going to fund it if we do so.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. The funding, I don't know. I believe that we need to have our funding already set before we make the plans to build it. I don't believe in adding more taxes, whether it be food and beverage or an income tax, because we are, I believe Decatur County residents are overtaxed. We need to provide outdoor entertainment for our Decatur County residents and visitors. But until we have funding in-house, I don't believe we can start on a pool project.
All right, thanks, Janet. Rob?
So I've looked at this project, and the way I've talked with others about it is when you go to McDonald's, and now you don't talk to someone at a counter, you're pushing buttons on the big computer screen in the lobby. When you get done with the end of that order, they give you the opportunity to, would you like to round up the remainder of your change to the Ronald McDonald House? And I'd ask the audience here, how many of you do that? Because there's people here that do that, okay? When you pay your local electric bill to REMC, you have an opportunity to round up for the Roundup program. How many of you have done that? And how many of you have seen the local projects that come out of that Roundup program by that small little piece at a time donation? There's many people in this room that have benefited from those programs. So when you look at the food and beverage tax, you're giving more back to McDonald's and you're giving more back to REMC than what the food and beverage tax would be when you go out to eat. I definitely believe the statistical value that says projects for that will come more than 50% from people from this community. And that's a 50-50 match is what that is. People who aren't even from here that are giving back to that piece to bring those things together. Where that project money goes was decided before we ever talked about putting that on because it had to be approved in the State House. It went through both houses here, the commissioners and the council, before it went up there to go on to that. So it was already decided with where that money was going to go. But I think that we need to make a difference with where our people live at. They can drive 45 minutes from Fishers to work, or they can drive 45 minutes from Greensburg to work in Indianapolis, and we need them to choose to live here.
Okay, Ernie?
Well, that's been the topic of the winter. So I think we need to replace the pool. I really do. And I'm in favor of spending some money on it. I'm not in favor of spending $6 million on it because I don't think we need to spend that amount of money here in Decatur County on the pool when we have so many other things that we could use money for. So I think Rob had a good point here. Amount of money can be raised through maybe rounding up something else. But anyway, we need to figure out a way how we're going to pay for this before we commit ourselves to a project like this, because this could have consequences 10, 15, 20 years down the road, especially if you go doing a bond or something on it. So I know the council's been working hard, the commissioner's been working hard to try and figure out maybe how we can get this done at a lower cost than what's being presented to us. I think there's different ways we can pay for it. We use some edit money to we borrow the money, pay it back with some edit money. There's revenue streams we'd have to look into on that. But I don't think we need a resort park pool. I think we need a pool that'd be very functional for the people who live in Decatur County and could be used by them and still stay within the means that we can afford to finance.
Okay, Bill?
Yeah, I'm all for rebuilding the pool. I think it's a necessity to the community. But a lot of people don't know there's going to be a walk path built along Park Road to get you to the pool. A lot of people say, we can't get there. But there will be a walk path eventually. And as far as funding it, I think, like Ernie said, I think we can work through edit some way, and it's going to have some money borrowed or something to pay for it, but I'm not for another tax.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
Yeah, I think the Greensburg and Decatur County needs a pool. I think it needs to be a modest to a little better than that facility that we can be proud of. I mean, when we look at our local schools, we're proud of those. When we bring people into the community, we need to be proud of the pool. I'll kind of go back to what I was part of when you think about a funding mechanism. When we started talking about the new jail, I went down every rabbit hole that there was available to find what opportunities were there for funding, what design work was there along with the other two commissioners. We just fully vetted that out. And I think if we want community support for a new pool, we need to really vet that out thoroughly, look under every rock, and then get something that we can be proud of. I think we're proud of the new jail. It was built under budget, on time, and we worked with the council on that really closely, and it turned out to be a good project. I don't see the pool being any different once we go through those steps.
All right, thanks, Rick. Andrew?
Thank you. So let me be clear. I do not support a food and beverage tax regardless of what it funds. I actually think that we are way overtaxed in this county as a whole. As for a pool, sometimes government gets in a position where they feel that they are drivers of wealth. Government inherently does not create. It is only able to operate because it imposes taxes on what people and businesses create. This does not mean that government isn't necessary. Local governments provide many essential services that are for the benefit of the community. That said, in kind of agreement with Ernie, a pool that borders on a miniature water park for $6 million isn't going to drive growth. North Vernon recently built a newer pool. It did not increase their population. Their population's actually dropped. I'm sure there's other factors there, but we can't act like building a pool is going to make people move here. I'm not against a pool that fits within our means. But imposing a food and beverage tax to get one borderlines on ridiculous. We have essential services like animal control that need an upgrade, but the discussion isn't about those services. It's about the fun projects.
All right, thank you. Rob, we'll start with you on the next question. Council is somewhat responsible for continuing to manage and support growth within the county. How do you plan to prioritize funding for each request, whether it be the pool, annex projects, the fairground, or other requests that come across the table?
So the way you would look at the requests that come in are starting with what we don't have a request for yet, looking for what may be coming, actually being connected with our body of commissioners and knowing what their challenges are in an open discussion standpoint. So that way we can put things in order. We all talk, but we could all talk better. We could all talk more often. We can't talk in groups together unless we're having an executive session to put that together. But I guarantee you we've all seen each other at the same fish fries, chili suppers, and other things around the community where we can have those opportunities to talk and learn more. My piece of it is we have to have a strong public safety network. My goal is going to be look at our 911 system and what we're doing for responders. But when you look at the taxes that are out there, the local income tax is paid by the people that live here, not just the people that work here. When they live somewhere else, that money goes somewhere else. So it comes down to the point of when we make this community more accessible for people to live here, then that money will stay here. And then there's not a need for more funds in other places. We can actually support the cause for those additional resources that are put on this community when we start to grow in those economic areas that are there. If we don't grow forward and we don't keep looking forward, I can show you someplace to the south and I can show you someplace to the north that didn't do that. And now they're taxed at a higher rate and taking more money out of their people's pockets than what we are today because they don't have the base to do it with. So everything has to look at it from what is our needs for today, what is our needs for tomorrow, and what is our needs for next year. So when someone comes to ask for that, we have to look at all three of those pieces, not just what's in front of us today to decide which projects are going to be funded.
All right, thank you, Rob. Ernie?
Yeah, well, could you repeat the first part of the question?
Sure. The responsibility of the council is to manage and support growth within the county. So as requests come along, how do you plan to prioritize funding, whether it be the pool, fairground projects, et cetera?
Okay. Well, I think, first of all, it's important that we have good infrastructure. You're not going to get people to move to your county if you don't have good roads and streets and bridges, and you don't have a good police department, if you don't have good schools. So I think we need to look at the basic infrastructure of the county. I know our internet out in the county in some places is terrible. I think we need to spend some money on that. If we had better internet, I think that would draw more people to locate here. As far as prioritizing it, I think you have to kind of put the value on what's important to everybody. I think after infrastructure, definitely the pool is one. The fairgrounds could be another. There's other public service things like we talked about earlier in the discussion. The public mental health issue in the county could use a lot of funding, and that might have to come through the council. So just kind of listen to the taxpayers and see what they really want to see done, and see if we can finance it.
All right, thank you. Bill?
I can't say a lot more than what Ernie just said, but I mean, you got to kind of prioritize what is important and how you can afford to take care of it when it comes in front of you. And I don't know, we like mental health and everything is really, I'm on 2 different boards now, and that's kind of the top thing on the boards is mental health. You know, you don't think about it. I'm not in the jails to see that, but it's one of the main problems. Housing is a big problem. I know there's nowhere to buy in Decatur County or live if you want to rent a house. It's just hard to do, but you kind of got to prioritize and what you can afford.
All right, thank you. Rick?
Yeah, just to maybe summarize, I agree with when Mr. Duckworth talked about this. To me, I heard him talk about planning. You know, if the opportunity exists to think in the future, to have some meetings, to look at what we need going forward, we might be better prepared to build on that, and maybe start to accrue some money to be able to pay for things up front rather than try to assess a tax to help pay for that. So yeah, I think broadband, housing, making the community a place where our kids want to live, where we can grow old in and feel safe and secure, as Ernie talked about, with infrastructure and supporting, the sheriff's department, things like that. Those are projects that need to take priority, and whatever we can do to enhance things could come when the opportunity is right.
All right, thank you, Rick. Andrew?
Yeah, I think I have to echo some of what Ernie has said, as well as a few others. We have to prioritize what's important. Your roads, police department, those type of things. Those are what really keep your community running. I did want to touch on, a few people have talked about broadband here, and I think we've been trying to tackle that. The federal government's tried to tackle that for rural areas. The state has tried to tackle that. I know there's some renewed interest there from the state. However, I think a lot of times it's something we need to look outside the box on and look at private industry. If you look to some of the larger, more rural states like Kansas or Nebraska, a lot of those counties out there or cooperatives or farm bureaus have partnered with Starlink in order to provide high-speed internet to places without all the, you don't have to run miles and miles and miles of fiber optic cable to do that. So I think those are things to look at too, not just the way we've done things, but how can we partner with private industry to make things happen.
All right, thank you. Janet?
Well, this is hard because everybody said everything I agree with. But I do believe, again, that we need to prioritize. And I hope the public understands I come from the side where we pay the county's bills. And we need to take care of our employees and our buildings. And then, again, input from the public. Please help us to understand what's important to you so that we can start planning, because we've kind of gone along with, let's take care of it and worry about that when if something breaks. We need to get our priorities in order and prepare. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ernie, we'll start with you with the next question.
A lot of you have addressed the idea of taxes, and some of you have said Decatur County already has enough taxes. Are there any taxes on the books now that you favor eliminating or reducing?
Well, yeah, probably all of them, I guess, if we could live that way. But I think the council has looked hard over the years at not putting on any tax that we really didn't have to. I know the property tax we don't have much control over that. That gets set by the state or somebody. I'm not exactly sure who sets that, but I know it's gone up quite a bit in the last few years. I would like to see a cap on that, keep that under control. We did do the wheel tax a few years back, which we caught a lot of heat on. But with the wheel tax, we were kind of forced to do that because if we was going to get the money from the state to improve our roads, we had to match a certain amount of that, and that was one of the avenues we had to match that tax. So we kind of had our hands tied on that. But I think it's brought a lot of revenue into the county and has helped out on the roads and bridges in the county. We put on the public safety tax, which helps with the police and sheriffs and other things, it's pretty hard to eliminate a tax like that. I know we did lower which one did we just lower? The special purpose tax, which we didn't lower it much, but we did lower it some, so that's not an increase, so that's good. So I guess there's none really right now I see that we could eliminate. I think if there was one, the council would look real hard into it and do it if they could, but we don't want to cut ourselves short on like I said, the safety and the roads and things that are necessary in this county.
Okay, Bill?
Well, the special purpose tax I'm pretty sure will be eliminated when the jail's paid off. So that's one thing we can get rid of, but I think it's 10 years before 11. Rick's on top of it, but it's coming up here in 10 or 11 years. So that's one tax we can eliminate. I mean, the wheel tax, we hate to put that on, but it's a no-brainer. You have to, if you're going to have to do your roads, I forget what it costs now for a road. It's $100,000 a mile or something to do a county road now, and it's just crazy. But
Yeah, I'll echo Bill and Ernie here a little bit, but the jail tax, as I call it, it was a commitment that the commissioners really made amongst ourselves and working with the council when that was paid off, and I believe it is 11 years when that gets done, that tax could be greatly reduced or eliminated. You know, and on the wheel tax, I wasn't part of that. I was commissioner during that time, but the council, that was their responsibility. But when you can obtain community crossing grant dollars and things like that, that creates a lot more value for the tax dollar that you're spending. And in my opinion, that's how we ought to view everything that we do in the council, in the aspect of value. If I spend $1, am I going to get $1 back, $1.25, $1.50, that kind of a thing. And if we do that, then we will be just like we do in our own homes. You know, we get value for the dollar that we spend, and we're generally happy about that. So if we can treat tax dollars the same way, then we should be good to go.
All right. Thanks, Rick. Andrew?
Yeah. So in regards to the special use tax for the jail, it was originally a 0.5% income tax increase for that in 2017. It was again raised by 0.15% in 2019. At the time, the county council had hoped to remove it after a year. Now, here just a few weeks ago, they voted to pursue to reduce it by 0.05%. That's a third of what was originally talked about. And if you want to talk about the total income tax increase, it was $585 per person making $50,000 a year. If you want to look, you know, at the big stimulus checks we all got a few years back, everybody was raving how we get $700. That amount kind of approaches that. So, I mean, it's not an insignificant amount of money. No one's saying we didn't need a new jail. But again, I think we need to understand what we need to tax and how we need to pay for things. There was a committee when the jail was done that suggested a potentially lower tax rate. I don't know the reason why that did not happen, but once the jail is taken off your taxes for somebody making $50,000 a year, that's approximately $325 of your money that you'll be getting back. Again, they said 10 or 11 years on that. As for property taxes, yes, it's true the state sets the rate with that being a market value. However, there are tools that counties have, and this is a problem in the whole state. It's not just Decatur County. Counties actually can give you a property tax refund if they chose to. The levy this year was over $500,000 more than it was last year. I think that there's okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Janet?
I will always invite the public to come to our office to understand property taxes were capped in 2012 by the state because people, they just kept seeing the increases in the property taxes. So that hurt local governments. So then the state turns around and says, okay, so you can have your local income tax. So that counties are almost forced to adopt those just to make ends meet, so we could provide the services that everyone expects with the roads, with the pools, with the courthouse services, with the sheriff and jail services. So I don't know from an auditor's standpoint how we can reduce taxes until we reduce our spending, because our assessed value is going up, but our spending's going up too. And the DLGF sets those tax rates, but that's just to meet our budgets. And our budgets are very tight. So I encourage anybody to come into the courthouse and learn, because we are trying our best to provide the services with what monies we have.
Okay, Rob?
I'll take Janet's piece one step further. There are folks here in the audience, for those of you that can't see or can't hear, that are actually not candidates. So when I'm asking them, I'm asking people from our community and everybody who is running for office as a member of our community. Where all does the county get money from today to operate? I doubt anybody here could name every one of those funds. But what I think we can do better with is one of those buzzwords of transparency. We need to be more transparent. There's no reason why we are operating as a business can't put the business books out in front of everyone and put it right there on our website that says, this is this tax, this is what the rate is, this is how much the county brought in year over year, and these were the projects or where this money went. So that way the folks can be educated on their own to see where this money is being appropriated to for the people that they've elected. How is that money being spent? The county budget has every department involved in it. And we have separate budgets that are set aside for certain funds, such as CUME-CAP as an example that comes in, and we know exactly where those funds go to. But there's no reason why we can't put that forward and then show people what the bottom line is of where did we finish with the year, so that way it's not a matter of coming in and getting that information, but putting those accessible items out there. Again, this goes down to people. Taking care of people, the people that work in the community, people that live in the community, and the people that are working in the county government. We get more people that are able to contribute to that pot, we can bring those numbers down. But the property tax item, the latest increases have come from the school levies to take care of our people, take care of our kids, and take care of our future.
All right, thank you. This will be our last question before wrap-ups. Bill, we'll start with you. If elected back onto council, or if elected to council, what are your initiatives and what's your priority with council?
Okay, definitely the pool is one of the top things. I mean, we've been meeting at least once a week on this pool thing, trying to get that thing taken care of. And mental health, I think mental health is one of the big priorities in this county, according to what they're telling us anyway. But I think those are the two.
All right, thank you. Rick?
Yeah, I think a priority of mine would be to look into the opportunity to do kind of a deep dive. Data really allows you to make good decisions. In my business, if I know what my cornfield will produce and I have the data that gives me my best ROI, then I can make better decisions. And I'd like to see what the opportunities would be to do that data dive into our county finances. As Rob said, look at each funding mechanism, each taxing unit, find out where that is, and then be able to build off of that, as I said earlier, to be able to plan for future, to be able to know what we can afford or can't afford in that point of view. So that would be one of my goals as being a council member. So thank you.
Thank you. Andrew?
Yeah, my biggest goal is to serve the taxpayers. Again, I think that we are overtaxed in this county. I know that we do, it's not the federal government. We can't print off the money that we need to use to operate, and we're operating on a budget. That said, if you look back over the last decade, it has all been tax increases in the county. I think we need to find look at ways. I think Rick kind of touched on this, looking at data, trying to find ways to what can you cut? I mean, there's no organization that is, hires over 200 people that the budget's around $20 million. I mean, there's no organization at large that doesn't have some sort of places you can cut. That's just inherently not possible. I also want to be a voice against this food and beverage tax. The county council has kind of put it to the wayside here, but it is still an option to them. And I think, to be fair to the taxpayers, we should bring it for a vote and vote it down.
All right, thank you. Janet?
My priorities begin with balancing what my voters or constituents would like and what we have services they want. The pool, right now, I would like to put on hold because I think we need to get our financial house in better condition so that we can take care of our buildings and provide the services that everyone expects. And after that, then we can start to look at maybe some extras that everybody can enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Rob?
Kind of led into this with my answer from the last question of this comes down to taking care of people. And that's what we're here to do, is to take care of the people of the county and make the best value of the dollars that are given to this county to bring things together. The word pool needs to be thought of more about the kids in this community, not whether I'm going to go to it, not whether Ernie's going to go to it. And the connective piece for that is the mental health piece that Bill mentioned. If you are uninformed and believe that there is not a mental health crisis in this community, come spend a day with our school counselors on a Monday morning after the weekend, dealing with all of the things that these kids did not have a recreational place to be in a supervised manner, and deal with those things that come back together. How we pay for those resources, I think, is a just item that still needs to be cited. And we have to start with what I mentioned earlier, which is put it out there for everybody to see of what dollars are coming in. Are those dollars going up or down over the years? The income tax is all dependent on how many people live here, not just how many people work here. If they don't live here, then their money that they're making from the economy is going back to where they live at. So it has to be a place where we're able to collect those pieces. You say Decatur County has one of the highest tax rates, and you look at the counties and ours is higher than Hamilton County. Well, why is that? They got more people paying into that pot, so the rate is lower. So we have to look at how are we going to take care of the people? How are we going to take care of those kids that we want to come back here to live in this community? I said it earlier before with all of you that have kids. I want you to look at your kids and how many of them live here. They have a choice to live here. It's about the same drive from Columbus to Indianapolis as it is from here to Indianapolis or Fishers. We make a community that our kids want to stay here. We'll keep them.
All right, thank you. Ernie?
Okay. Well, I guess my priorities probably really haven't changed much over the years. Budgets are tough. I've sat through a lot of budget meetings, and there's a lot of wants and not many pay-ins sometimes. And we've asked, like Janet says, you try and find cuts in the budget, and as much as you try, it's really, really hard to cut some things out. And one of the reasons is we get some things we have to fund sent down to us, like courthouse security is one thing we had to fund with no tax stream to pay for it. So we had to find a place in the general budget to pay for that. The increase in what it takes to repair roads. I mean, these increases come in every year, and the same amount of increase in taxes does not come in. So, you got to spend time, prioritize where you want to spend money, how much money you're going to have. And I think most of this is pretty transparent. If you come to the courthouse and ask, you can get these tax streams and the projects that the money's been spent on. So I guess it's just continue to try and be efficient with the taxpayers' money and provide as many services that we can to those that request them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Again, I want to thank everyone for being here. We're going to start our 3-minute wrap-ups. We'll start with Rick and go backwards this time. Thank you for sitting in alphabetical order. That's helped today. All right, Rick, you've got 3 minutes.
Thank you. Again, to close up, I guess, thanks Greensburg Daily News and WTRE for this and everybody that showed up for it and are listening today. I've just got a passion for being involved in the community. Whether you're elected or hold an elected position or not, you can be involved. It's a personal decision. You just have to raise your hand and step forward. So, but I think I can add some value to the council. I've got my experience has been, I was on the Greensburg Community School Board for 2 terms. I've been on the St. Mary's Parish Council and School Commission for a couple of terms each. I'm a member of the Greensburg Breakfast Optimist Club, currently the president of that, and I belong to the KSCs, a member of St. Mary's Church. So, you know, had again the good fortune to be commissioner for this community for 12 years and an opportunity to work with a lot of great people. You know, everybody sitting on this table today has a passion and a desire to serve. So, in my opinion, I'm not sure you can make a wrong decision for council with this group. So I'm proud to be part of it. I just, again, want to give back. I want to thank everybody for their support of me and my family as we went about our business in this community. So I appreciate your support. I think I haven't seen a sample ballot, but alphabetically, I may be at the bottom. So when you go to vote, look all through the list so you can get to me if you have the desire. So thanks again for everything.
Thanks, Rick. Bill Metz.
I'd also like to thank WTRE and the Greensburg Daily News and the million listeners that are out there to listening to all this. But mental health is going to be my number one thing. I mean, I'm really think that's a big problem for the county, and I just want to keep that on the number one priority and keep us black in the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Ernie Gauk.
Okay, I too want to thank WTRE and Daily News for putting this on. I want to thank the other candidates here. I agree with Rick that I think everyone here is well qualified to do the job. I'm learning some things about you I didn't know, so I appreciate that. One of the questions come up earlier is getting people to vote. Call up your friends, call up Eric, tell them to go vote, because in the primaries is really where the election's won, especially in this county. So I encourage everybody to go vote, whether you vote for me or the other people, but please go vote, and everybody thinks their vote don't count, but it sure does. So thank you again.
All right, thank you. Rob Duckworth.
If you've listened to my part of any of this, as we've gone all through it, there's been a common theme of taking care of people. We have to take care of the people. We have to take care of the people that have chosen to serve. And if you look at the dynamics of the county employees right now, you'll see a change. And I know that the folks that have lived here will go back to a point you can say you used to know every one of the county deputies that was here, and you knew their dad and you knew their mom because they had all been here. But we don't have that luxury anymore because we don't have those people staying here that continue to want to be a part of it. They're going somewhere else. We need to continue to keep them to be a part of the community. $3 million. No, that doesn't have anything to do with a pool. $3 million is the amount during my time working here in the county that we brought in and getting the money somewhere else, getting the money from grants, using those other resources for dollars other than going back to the county till to find a place to do it. Those are the things we need to look at of where can we add value, where can we maximize that dollar. If we're putting it out there, can we get $1.50 back for it? That's what I want to be able to help the people that come to the council and ask us for dollars. Can we count this for a match for something? How are you maximizing the dollars that we're giving back, if that's what you're asking us for? And get into it for taking care of the people that are choosing to continue to serve, because it's getting harder and harder for them to do that on the dollars that are out there. So we've got to take care of that so we can create a place where we have our kids wanting to stay here and making that choice instead of driving 45 minutes to the city from somewhere else they choose to be, but they still want to continue to be a part of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Janet Chadwell.
As you can tell, I'm not a public speaker. I'm used to being the person in my office behind the council and the commissioners. So that being said, I believe that I can provide good input, good insight, and experience to the decisions that this council has to make for all of its residents. And I just hope that you'll vote for Janet Chadwell on May 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew Brunei.
Yeah, thank you again to WTRE and to the Daily News for putting this on. I appreciate that. I know everybody else here does. I just wanted to reiterate that I will be a voice against tax increases on the county council, and you can count on that. I do want to serve the taxpayer. I think, again, that as almost every candidate has stated, that we do have a tax problem in this county. I would also like to let you know that you won't see my name on the ballot for decades. I have taken a term limits pledge. I will only run for 2 terms if I'm elected to it. I don't think that anyone needs to be in the same office for years and years and years. I don't think that that is a hard thing to do. I think that's kind of should be a conservative Republican value. And I did want to touch up on one thing I was talking about. I was a little too wordy on the property tax increase, that $500,000 that I mentioned. That's not for the schools. That is just what the county itself levied. The school, I don't even have that number off the top of my head what that is. If you go on the county website, you can see a breakdown of what entities are collecting which taxes. So again, thank you for your time and for listening, and I'd appreciate your vote on May 7th.
All right, once again, these are your council at large contestants: Andrew Brunei, Janet Chadwell, Rob Duckworth, Ernie Gauck, Bill Metz, and Rick Nobby. Thank you all for being here this morning. We appreciate it. We will take a short 5-minute break once again as we transition over to our commissioner candidates. And once again, if you're on the radio, you're listening to WTRE and the Greensburg Daily News Political Forum. We'll be back in about 5 minutes.
Jeff Dugan and I were the St. Mary's Festival Committee chairs for 25 years, and through the efforts of our festival team, and the two-day festival in August. I've also been awarded the Paul Harris Fellow Award by the Greensboro Rotary Club, the Bill Grivey Optimist of the Year and Optimist Firefighter of the Year by the Greensburg Optimist Club. I was a 6-year United Fund board member, with the last year being the president, and was awarded the United Fund Volunteer of the Year Award. As you can see, I'm involved in my church, career, and community with a lifetime of service and dedication. As I retire from the fire department in December, I hope to continue my service to Decatur County as a commissioner in District 1.
All right, thank you. Again, your District 1 candidates are Tony Blodgett, Melanie Nobby, and Brian Winning. We're going to take a quick moment. We need to restart our YouTube live feed so we make sure everybody has a fair chance on air. So give us just a moment. Technology is great when it works, and then when it has a moment, we have to let everybody breathe and get it going again.